everybody, Eleanor and Jazz here from Nesta Invest, and you are watching Hot Property Q&A. Questions asked by you, answered by us, so you can gain more knowledge and insight into the property world and beyond. So the question that I have this week is a little bit different. We're delving down a little bit more into the mind of a property developer, and that of course is you, Jazz, sitting right next to me. So the question that I've got this week that we've been asked is, what has been a big learning curve for you so far in property? Now, you have, just about over 10 years of experience in property now, from doing the buy and holds, doing renos, to small builds, and then obviously taking that big step to development, which is a big step, and with a big step comes a lot more risk, right? Mm-hmm. So, the last few years, because you've made that transition, is there any major learning curves that have really stood out to you, or any lessons that you've learned?
I think that one of the biggest ones would be just being too trusting. So
okay.
It's quite a huge, broad topic.
Wow.
But yeah, if that's one of my values, so I expected that to be someone else's values on me as well. So
you were too trusting?
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
was the biggest thing.
Yeah, and trust is such a big, it's a value and it's something really important. It's important to me as well. So only thinking even in terms of the property industries, there are a lot of cowboys out there. There are a lot of people maybe wanting to make a quick buck off a developer. So I guess, you have, probably learnt lessons the hard way. And like you said, maybe being too trusting when maybe you should have had your guard up a little bit more. Are there any instances or specific examples of when you've thought, hold on, and looking back now you go, wow, that was a real learning or tipping point?
Yeah, there's quite a few. One of the main one was one of the builders that we hired for a project. Pretty much we hired him on a fixed term contract. Halfway through, we started another project, and they pretty much said, hey, do you want to go on a labour only? It'll be beneficial for you. I said, okay.
What's labour only mean?
So pretty much on an hourly rate. So
Okay.
Instead of having a fixed price contract for the contract works, pretty much just hourly rate. Mm-hmm. And what that did was it just blew out of proportion. Pretty much people weren't as productive all of a sudden. Where you could get things done in 2 hours, it would take them 4 to 8 hours. So That was definitely a big learning curve for me.
So they almost, it's like they took advantage of that trusting nature of that, because they've worked with you before, they thought, we can just keep doing this again.
Yeah, and it was just even the heads of the company as well. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other examples of that trust, or when you've maybe been a bit too trusting?
One of the times,
and it's backfired?
one of the times was I had a meeting with someone.
Yeah.
And we shook on a deal, agreed on a rate, for example, interest rate, and when I got the documents, it was different.
Yeah.
So, for me, a handshake means a lot.
Yeah.
And that means, okay, there's a deal there, and when someone backs out of that, it just makes me a lot nervous.
So it's a bit of that, it's that trust, and then having to go back. If you say your word, for you, your word's your word. Well, it was at the time, when someone says that to you.
Yeah, even now I treat it as my word's my word.
Yeah.
Regardless of what situation it puts me in.
So in terms of that trust then, you had the issue with the builders and the labour costs that, just blew up, and then obviously they took advantage of that, and maybe you were a little bit too trusting, maybe a bit too naive at the time. When that happened to you then, what changed? What did you do to change that, to make sure that this wouldn't happen again? Was there anything that you did in particular that really made you see things differently?
Yeah, it wasn't sustainable, end of the day. If I kept doing that, I'll just run myself into the ground.
Absolutely, or you would be a broken man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did break me for a little while,
Yeah.
but I had plenty of other projects on the go, so there was no looking back. I had to move forward. So we ended up doing a exercise with all the contractors after we got rid of those guys.
Yeah,
of course.
So you didn't work with them anymore. And so
No.
what did you do? You did a exercise. What was that about?
Yeah, so we ended up doing an exercise where it was pretty much an open book with the management of the companies, and we sit down, run through lots of questions and their concerns, our concerns, and it's an open book, and it just opened up lots of things for both parties.
Okay.
What I expected, what they expected. It was a little bit grey, but after our discussions, it was black or white.
And then I guess that gave you the idea of, are they in line with my values? Do I trust them? Do they trust me? Or what are any issues that we may address down the line?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It was actually called values exercise.
So it was the actual values exercise.
Yeah, so it was pretty much to see whether our values align or not.
Because I think in property, you know, it is finding the right team is the hardest. And we have an amazing team, but that's because we've really worked hard and done those exercises to really find people that are in line with our values and that we can grow with.
Yeah, and it's a long-term thing for us. And
absolutely.
The contractors and consultants we work with, we're pretty much nothing without them. So that's my key, is to find people that are long-term thinking. You know, they're not in for the quick buck or make a fool out of this guy and then find someone else. So they are there for the long haul as well, same as us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now looking back, you had the issue where you were maybe too trusting. Nothing wrong with trusting people, but obviously it can go the other way. What do you do now? What do you look out for then if you are meeting someone new that you might potentially doing business with? Obviously you've got your values exercise, but do you look at facts? Do you trust your instinct? Do you do a bit of both now?
Gut feel.
Yeah.
That is my strongest feeling. Instantly, something triggers in me. I used to ignore that feeling.
Yeah.
So later on, when I used to look down what went wrong, where it went wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
So you actually knew back at that time something's not right, but it sounds like it should be fine.
Yep.
Wow.
And, yeah, he'll be all right. Oh, he'll let me, you know, this will be okay. But now it's instantly just cut it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't deal with those people. And it's been right. It's been right for me for the last 10 years. Except I didn't listen to it.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, just silly things like that. Now I'm fully aware when I go into a meeting, when I see people, when I meet people, just instantly.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really good, good thing to look out for as well.
Yeah, and this doesn't mean be prejudiced about people, but just listening to what they say, what their words are.
Asking the right questions as well.
Asking the right questions.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that was a really interesting Q&A this week, and something a bit different, but I think something that is really important is that trust. And it can go either way. So you've obviously learnt from being maybe too over trusting back on the earlier days of your development. So it's really cool to see what you've done and actually been there beside you to experience, how you've overcome that, and to where you are now is really cool. So I hope that was helpful, something a bit different this week. But if you have any questions about anything in the property that you'd like to know in the property industry, do let us know. Now we are online and on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, our website, nestainvest.com. So we would love to hear from you. We'll see you again next time. Bye.